Good morning, Year 10. We're going to look at solving worded problems using equations. So what I'd like you to do is to copy down the heading and then copy down the first question. You can pause the video to do that if you want. Okay, now the first thing we're going to look at is the first sentence. Okay, so we've got a rectangle. And it's 4 times as long as it is wide. So first thing I'm going to do in that first sentence is draw a rectangle. Okay. Now, it says it's 4 times as long as it is wide. So if we call this the width, and that's 4W. Okay, so it's 4 times as long as it is wide. The shorter side is W and the longer side is 4W. Why am I doing that? Is because I'm going to use W for width 4 times is just 4 multiplied by W. Okay, so the rectangle is 4 times as long as it is wide. So we'll call this part here the length. And notice I'm just using one pronumeral. I could have put an L here for length, but then I've got an L and a W. So it's much easier for these questions to define everything in terms of one letter. Okay, and I've used W for that. Okay, the next part of the question says, so I've done the first sentence, says the perimeter of the rectangle is 180 millimeters. Find the dimensions. Now, dimensions are the length and the width. Okay, so the length and the width. So at the end of this question, you should be able to say how long and how wide the rectangle is. Okay, what does it tell me? It tells me the perimeter. So I'm going to put down perimeter. P for perimeter is 180 millimeters. Okay, now I need to write down an equation involving perimeter. So I know that the opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. So I could put 4W and W. And I know that the perimeter of a rectangle is when I add all the sides together. So I'm going to get 4W plus W plus 4W, oops, plus W. Now, it tells me the perimeter is 180 millimeters, so I can write down 180 equals, now, this can be simplified. 4W plus W plus 4W plus W, that is 10W. Okay, so now I've got a nice equation. Here it is. I'm going to use this equation now to find the dimensions of the rectangle. Well, what I can do next is divide both sides by 10. Divide both sides by 10. That's going to give you 18 is equal to W. Okay, now that's the correct answer for the width. Obviously it's 18 millimeters, but it says the dimensions. Dimensions means length and width. So I would say, after that, I would say 4W is equal to 4 times 18, right? Because I need to know the longer side as well. And that's 72, okay, and that's millimeters. So my answer is therefore dimensions are 18 millimeters by 72 millimeters. When you write dimensions, you actually write down the two numbers with a multiplication sign between them. So 18 millimeters wide and 72 millimeters long, and that is the correct answer. A lot of people will stop here, get W equals 18, but you've got to read the question. It says, find the dimensions of the rectangle. So once you've solved your equation, you've got to check, have I answered the question? In this case, we hadn't. We had to find out what the length was. Length is 4W, which is 72 millimeters. So that's my final answer. Okay. So what are the steps here that we did? Well, we did a picture or a diagram, and we wrote an equation. And we solved the equation. And then we answered the question. Those are the steps. Okay, so here is your recipe for solving these questions. Okay, draw a picture or a diagram, write an equation, solve the equation, then answer the question. All right, so 4 things to do. So copy all of that down, and then I want you to try the second question by yourself. Right, question 2. So pause the video and have a go at question 2. All right, let's have a look at question 2. So we've got the length of a rectangle is 3 more than twice its width. So first thing I'm going to do again is draw a picture. Here's my rectangle. The length of a rectangle is 3 more than twice its width. Okay, so I'm thinking about this is the width and this is the length. Okay, so the length is 3 more than twice its width. Now, if I've got 3 more than something, that's the same as adding 3, and twice its width is 2 times W. So the length is 3 more than twice its width. Now, as I said before, we're not going to use L here. We just want everything in terms of the one letter. So I'm just going to write down that the length up here is 2W plus 3. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about having the L there. Okay, so the length is 3 more than twice its width. So there's my picture that I've labelled. It tells me also the perimeter is 84 centimetres. So I could say the perimeter is 84 centimetres. Okay. Now, we did the picture. So the picture we've done. Now we've got to write the equation. Now, it tells you that the perimeter is 84 centimetres. Now, I know that this side here must also be 2W plus 3. And this side here must be 2W. So I could say the perimeter, P for perimeter, will be, well, I've got 2 W's in it, 2 W's, and I've also got 2 lots of 2W plus 3, okay? Now the perimeter is 84, so I can replace the P there with 84. And I can expand the bracket, so we get 4W plus 6. Okay, so that's my equation that I'm going to use for the rest of the question. Now, how do I solve this equation? That's my next step. Well, I can tidy up the right-hand side. So I know that 2W plus 4W is 6W plus 6. And then I can subtract 6 from both sides. It's going to give me 78. It's equal to 6W. Right, then I can divide both sides by 6. Okay, they cancel. So that'll give me W is equal to, so put your calculator on and work out what 78 divided by 6 is. It should be 13. And that's centimetres. Now, I haven't finished yet because the question says find the dimensions. Remember, the dimensions are the length, and also the width. Okay, so the next part of my question I'll do down here. So I'm going to work out next, what is 2w plus 3? 2w plus 3 is 2 times 13 plus 3, which equals 26 plus 3, which is 29 centimeters. Okay, so my dimensions are 13 by, whoops, should be 13 centimeters by 29 centimeters. Okay, 13 centimeters by 29 centimeters. That's done. Okay, now copy all that down, and then we're going to look at the next question. All right, question 3. It says Jennifer is 7 years older than Amy. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's write down Jennifer. And Amy. All right, now let's say Amy is X. We don't know how old she is, call her X. And if Jennifer is 7 years older than Amy, she'll be X plus 7. Okay, now what about in 10 years' time? So in 10 years' time, how old will Jennifer be? All right, so let's have a look. In 10 years, Jennifer will be X plus 7 plus 10, which is X plus 17. And Amy, well, in 10 years' time, so we're looking at in 10 years' time, Amy will just be X plus 10. Now, it says in 10 years' time, the sum, now sum means plus, some of their ages will be 43. So I can say that these ages, X plus 17 plus X plus 10 equals 43. Okay, so that gives me X plus 27 equals 43. Take 27 from both sides, and you're going to get 16. So X equals 16. So that means Amy equals 16, and Jennifer equals 34. All right, so copy all that down, and then I want you to have a go at question 4 by yourself. Have a go at question 4 by yourself. Okay, so let's have a look at question 4. Now, it says a father is 9 times the age of his son. Okay, so let's write this down, father and son. Whoops. Father and son. Now, let's call the son X, and the father is 9 times his age, so 9X. That's good. Okay, then it says in 5 years, what happens? So in 5 years, we have father. How old will the father be in 5 years? Well, he'll be 9X plus 5. And the son will be x plus 5. Okay, but it says in 5 years, he'll be 4 times the age of his son. Okay, so in 5 years' time, it says father is 4 times the age of his son. Okay, all right, so that's how we're going to write the equation now. So the father, so 9x plus 5, is 4 times the age of his son. So 4 brackets, x plus 5. Okay, so there's our equation here. Now we're going to solve it. So you're going to get 9x plus 5 equals 4x plus 20. And then we can take 4x from both sides. It gives you 5x plus 5 is equal to 20. Okay, so we're going to minus 5 from both sides now. It gives me 5x is equal to 15. And divide by 5, divide by 5. And you'll get x equals 3. Okay, so that means the son is 3. So if I come over here now, the question says, how old are they now? Well, x is the son, isn't it? So we can say so the son is equal to 3. And the father will be 9 times that, won't he? Here's the father's age, 9 lots of x. So 9 times 3, which equals 27. So copy that down. So for these sorts of questions, we needed to, first of all, we had to look at an expression for their age now, right? Then we had to look at the expression for their ages in 5 years' time. And then we had to write an equation about their ages, okay? So it says in 5 years' time, the father is 4 times the age of his son. So father is 9x plus 5 in 5 years' time. And that is equal to 4 times the age of his son. Okay, and then we use that equation to finish the question. Okay, and that is it.